Hey, you're listening to the Arachnoids Gamecast.
Coming from Eclectic Entertainment. We hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Arachnoids Game Podcast, or Gamecast if you will. I am Benjamin.
And I am Nick.
It is 2:43 a.m. and the date is...
It looks like it's the 5th of April and it is Thursday, so...
Thursday, 2018, we start to our word. We did it every other Thursday, so we didn't fail. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about... We saw a comment on our SoundCloud page, which is pretty nice to get feedback.
Yeah, even from just a...
Even just a single comment, but that's enough to,
get that ball rolling.
Enough
get those,
coal for the fire,
Yeah.
So he mentioned that he wanted to hear us talk about older games or specific games from our childhoods that we played personally or felt a connection with. So we have some games that we're going to talk about, some early memories, and we're just going to try to cover some kind of nostalgic sort of games for us personally.
Oh, yeah.
Nick, would you like to start it off?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think one of... Alright, so first off, I kind of want to give, like a little bit of backstory of, not exactly what were the first games that I played, but, I guess just, a really quick of, how I guess sort of got into gaming. So, my dad has always been, really into, tech and, PCs and whatnot. So, my first gaming experiences, I guess you could see this fortunately or unfortunately, but were not on console, but they were on PC. And those were, very early memories for me, and I believe my first console generation where I really got to, experience the generation for what it was and have, that first and, hands-on experience of, actually going into a store with your parent, mom or dad or whatever, and going to buy a console and, at least, one or a couple games or, heck, even no games if you're just, super excited about the hardware itself. But, the first console generation for me would be with the GameCube, the PlayStation 2, or actually no. That was the first generation where I suppose really delved into games. But my first console was the original PlayStation, and that's all I knew for a bit. But even earlier, before that, was PC games and. The games that I had played, at that time, I was a really young child. I think I started to get into games when I was maybe I'll say 5, 4 or 5 or 6 or so, really early on. And at that age, you're not gonna have too many cognitive or motor skills, or you may not be able to grasp something that's more complex, like an RPG or something of the sorts, but things really simple, straightforward kids games, games that I probably wouldn't play now at all. But one game that came to mind for me that I got into when I was really young was there was this game that came out. I think I looked it up earlier, a couple hours before the podcast, but I could be wrong on the year. But it was Tonka Construction, and I think I read that it came out in 1993 or 94, somewhere around there. So the game for me was a few years ahead of me, but a tiny bit before my time. But it's still it's a 90s kids computer game, so it's gonna mesh well with me and my age and whatnot. But I guess what the game was, it was basically this really simple, it was a point and click game with there was a few mini games where it wasn't just point and click. you probably would use either WASD or like the up and down arrows and whatnot to move like a primitive character or like a Tonka truck or like whatever your avatar or like vehicle that you were controlling was. And like the types of goals that were in these mini games was just like moving around like debris or like clearing a highway of like snow and just like simple things like that. And yeah, I feel like I don't have to go like super into the details of like what the gameplay was like. I'm pretty sure that one can somewhat imagine what a really straightforward, simplistic kids game like Tonka Construction was like. But it was one of those games that when I was at that age like spent a lot of time in. And also earlier today I had looked up some gameplay footage of it on YouTube, and it's just strange how when you can see something that you haven't seen since your childhood, how many memories and nostalgia and things like that come to your mind, and it's just a trip, really. And yeah, so that's probably like the earliest memory that I have of playing a game and like actually remembering like what I was doing, and not just like like looking at a screen and like not knowing what to do, but like I actually like played the game and like got far in it and stuff. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I was probably about like 5 or 6 years old and was playing that. But there's definitely many other games that I played. And yeah, I started on PC, but had the original PlayStation. But I think I'll allow Ben to share his experience with us, because I actually am not sure if I'd be able to guess myself what was his first game, or what may have been one of his first game experiences. Ben, what was something for you?
So my very first game experiences also correlate with just some of my first memories in life, it seems. Or at least ones that seem very clear to this day.
Oh yeah.
So it's just a collection of glimpses before like I really started to comprehend what a game was and what it was to like actually sit down and play one. Mm-hmm. One memory I had was being up in my brother's room, my older brother Eric, and playing Echo the Dolphin on Sega Genesis.
Oh yeah.
Which is like if you go back and play that game today, it's just a bizarre ass game where you're fucking everything looks like a Lisa Frank painting, and you're a dolphin, and you also have psychic powers, and you like blast people with psychic abilities, and you can also like travel into the future, like dolphin future. And so that's one of my first memories. And another one was seeing, I think it might have been my brother's dad, Andrew's dad, playing Legend of Zelda on NES.
Oh, very nice.
And that was, of course, at that time, still like a pretty old console. Mm-hmm. But I still have a distinct memory of seeing that being played in my living room.
Yeah, because this is probably like late 90s.
Probably like 96.
Exposed to it, or like mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember also accidentally, I was playing Super Smash Brothers on Nintendo 64 with me and my niece Rosie. And we were playing it, and we were just messing around, and we did something by accident that caused us to unlock a new level for Super Smash Bros. 64.
That's fun.
And it was my brother's game, so I was thinking like, oh my god, I unlocked this level for my brother, and I was just like super happy and proud. Uh-huh. And I remember getting up like, Andy, come here, I unlocked it, and stuff, and freaking out about it. So those are some of my very earliest memories of games. Also playing a game that was also on like early Windows called Forever Grown Garden, which is like sort of like a very early point and click, not really, I wouldn't say a farming sim, more of an educational kind of kids game, similar to Tonka Construction, or whatever that game was with like the purple car, if you know what I'm talking about. Do you remember that?
What did you do with the purple car?
It was a point and click adventure, and you were a purple car. I forgot what it was called, but
maybe it was like like a Hot Wheels game or something like that.
It wasn't quite. It was like sort of like a Chevron type looking car with like the face.
Oh, with the eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That sounds faintly familiar.
And like Nick, one of my first consoles that I got that was really, like totally understood what it was Nintendo GameCube as well. That was the first one I got. I still remember how my mom announced it. She came in and we were expecting it for Christmas that she was going to get a GameCube, but she told us that she was going to get a GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
And instead she came back with an Easy Bake Oven box.
Uh-huh.
And then Rosie was just like, my mom was saying, she's like, oh, we got Rosie this Easy Bake Oven.
Oh, and
instead of the GameCube. And so, we thought that this would be more fun for you guys.
Yeah.
And me and Andy were trying to be like excited still, but we were like really disappointed. Then she's like, you guys could open it up.
Trying to show like an appreciation for the gift.
So we just opened it up and then there was just a Nintendo GameCube in there with Super Mario Sunshine and Luigi's Mansion. And we just like completely lost our minds.
That's awesome.
And
didn't you say it was either for the GameCube or maybe it was like for like a specific game or something like that? But didn't you say that there was at some point for some game like your mom had bought it and I think it was you were saying that like you and your brother had like a ton of your guys' friends and like a bunch of like the neighborhood kids over or something like that, and then your mom announced that that the game is like somewhere hidden in the house.
Yes, it was the release date of San Andreas.
Like,
yeah, the game the day that San Andreas had came out.
Oh my god!
And we had been like following it and like reading about it in like fucking some game magazine. And then we all came home from school and all my friends are here. And my mom said, whoever finds the game gets to play it first.
Oh.
So we all freaked out and started tearing shit apart, like pushing each other and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember I looked behind the computer and I had found it, and I got to play it first.
That sounds like such. I don't know. That sounds like for the age and like for the time and everything, and like how, that game was presented. Like that sounds like like a very like fond memory of like of that game or just like of a game in general. Like that's like a really cool way to be introduced.
Yeah, it was
to
a lot of
as a
it was
kid.
a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I think like a couple other games for me. Another game that I played because when Ben mentioned the game about a purple car with the the face and the eyes and like the Chevron character car pretty much, that actually brought back a memory to me about there was this this Hot Wheels racing game that I had. I'm pretty sure it was also on a PC, but it was probably like a late 90s or early 2000s game, but I remember that there was like different like scenes or like different maps for it basically, and like the one that I remember the most was where there's a certain like there's a certain part in the map where like your car and the other cars are racing each other on this on this office desk, and you're basically just in this race through like a home, but like there's a certain part where you're getting into this office and like you're just driving around like pencils and like
was this like
like a coffee cups and like a computer and shit like that.
Was this like a 3D game that was sort of like had
it was
almost
like
N64-ish graphics?
I think so. Yeah. And
oh my god, I think I had that same game but on the Nintendo 64.
Damn, really?
That we played all the time. Yeah, and they had like certain, like souped up cars that didn't have like power ups and stuff you can get or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played that game.
Dude,
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was like a really like fun game at the time.
That was a really cool game.
Yeah. Another game that I was really into, and I still I haven't played it in a while, but to me it still holds up as a great game because I feel like I can appreciate a game like I don't think that like graphics are always what matters in games. It's really about I think like features and gameplay and like story and whatnot, But like a really great game to me was Pokemon Gold, and how I came about obtaining that game was so I had this this I still have, but I just don't see him all the time. But I had this a childhood friend, Brandon, who he and I would like hang out all the time as kids, and like like our families were friends and whatnot, and his older brother Jeffrey had a copy of Pokemon Gold for, I believe it was a Game Boy or Game Boy Color, and there was just at one point, I guess like his brother was like maybe like 5 or 6 or 7 years or something like that older than me, and I suppose he was just he was either done with it, or he just like wanted me to have it for whatever reason, or just wanted me to try it out or something. But he gave me that game, and I already had a Game Boy Color. I don't remember how I obtained that, but I'm just sure that one of my parents got it for me at some point, and it was probably like too early for me to know what it was at the time, so I just like kind of always had it. But I remember playing that game also like before I could like effectively read. So every time when you would talk to another character or like read a sign or like just enter a Pokemon battle in that game, like I just I like I couldn't fully understand like what I was doing, but like when it would come to the Pokemon battles, like I had an idea of what I was doing, because like you just like like if you go to like click on fight, and like even if you don't know what fight mean, well, like not that you wouldn't know what fight means, but like say if you at the time weren't able to read it, you could just go into the sub menu and then select what movie you'd want to do, and it would happen, and you
remember
just
the positions,
figure that shit out. Yeah, just the positions.
It'd be like just repetition of it and becoming familiar. Like you basically, they look like just random symbols, but you recognize them.
Yeah, exactly. So like I played that game before I could like effectively read. So like I obviously never got far in that game at that age. Like I think I was just stuck in the area where it was supposed to be like a larger park area, and there was supposed to be a mini game type thing where if you were to go inside the building to the right of it, you could talk to the person behind the counter, and they would ask you if you wanted to enter a competition to like capture like the strongest or like the highest level bug or grass type Pokemon in the area, and then if you did, then you would like win the competition or something like that. But I think at that time when I was playing it, like I was just stuck in that area and like would just basically battle the same Pokemon over and over, and would never save and all that stuff, and just set it down because I after a bit, because I just was never progressing and didn't know what I was doing. But eventually I went back to the game. I was a bit older. I don't know how old exactly I was, but probably a couple of years older. And then I went into the game and just started anew, and eventually got really into it. And I think something that I didn't realize at the time, but what I really liked is so I thought that the game was going to end when you got all 8 badges and would beat the Elite Four and whatnot, and that's even usually how Pokemon games that have been coming out since then end, is you get your 8 badges, Elite Four, bam, that's basically the goals in the game. And then but in Pokemon Gold, something that I really liked is that once you did all that, then like bam, you just open up the second region, and you can basically do like all that, but like in a whole new region, like new gym leaders, like new Pokemon, everything over again.
I thought that was really cool. That
that was awesome.
You beat the game, but then like
you just get a whole game, another game's worth of content.
The post game is just like the entire like first region for the first game. So it's just like that the entire post game is just another entire game, and the entire region for the first
and just like so
title,
much,
and that's just pretty awesome.
Like so much more content, and it was just like holy crap. And I think like later on, like I eventually got like, well, didn't get I think it was like Emerald and like Ruby and Sapphire that were like third generation, whereas Gold and Silver were second gen. But yeah, like I didn't get third gen for a while. Like I think I just got like Fire Red, which was like a remaster or a remake of first gen. And so I got into that, and that had the one region, but it was still a great game. But I just had always had that appreciation for Pokemon Gold with giving you so much content in one game. But yeah, that's a game that I've put many hours in. Definitely the most played Pokemon game for me. I've always been a fan of the Pokemon series, and I guess that game specifically. And with saying that, like I feel like I want to like kind of bring it to like what's going on now is how like the new Pokemon game that's hopefully it's going to come out this year. Like I won't be surprised if maybe it's going to come out in 2019, but we'll have to wait and see. But I just think that's so cool that it's coming out for the Switch, because I think that's just a genius move on Nintendo's part, because not only is it going to be able to bring that game to like people who see the Switch as more of a console game and others who see it as more of a portable game, but it's also going to be able to take advantage of like the Switch's more powerful hardware as compared to like a 3DS and whatnot. So like hopefully there's going to be like some kind of cool new mechanics or just like a new way to play or something like that. So yeah, we'll just have to get excited and wait and hear some news for Pokemon and all that. And but yeah, I think I'll hand the talking stick or the torch over here to Ben. So
we do have a physical stick here that we're passing back and forth.
Oh yeah, it's like really old, and it was once part of some driftwood.
I found it, and it was like next to some old dog bones.
Yeah, it was just.
And we had
to
shake them off and stuff, and then we thought it was a pretty good stick.
Yeah, we're like, you know what, whatever, this will work. Let's just use it. But yeah, what was like I guess a couple other games that were either childhood games or like fond memories of getting a game or a console or like anything like that.
So the game that I'm going to talk about was a pretty big part of my childhood, games wise, and it was Halo 2.
Oh,
Halo 2 was a big part of my childhood. For the campaign, and for the campaign specifically of playing through Halo 2.
Campaign was pretty solid.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible, especially at that age. It almost felt like it was actually at the time pretty cutting edge in terms of like graphics and gameplay.
I mean, I personally still think that the gameplay holds up, and
it definitely does.
Yeah, and yeah, like I have the same memory of like when Halo 2 came out at the time. Like it just felt at the time like it felt so, I don't know, like not just like fresh, but it just felt so advanced because
and to be honest, even the graphics of Halo 2 have aged pretty well.
I think so.
You see it and it doesn't look terrible. Like it aged pretty nice. But specifically what I want to talk about is Halo 2 multiplayer, because this is probably one of my most played games of all time. I probably have like many, many hours into this, playing with I live in an apartment complex, and all the kids from all different apartments would all come over to, we'd switch off everybody's houses, so one night everybody would be over at my house, or one night everybody would be at another friend's house.
Yeah.
And we would have like, sometimes like 10 kids, 15 kids in one tiny ass apartment, just like tearing shit up.
Yeah.
And going crazy and stuff.
Gotta bust out those Ethernet cables.
Yeah.
LAN party.
So we had like 3 Xboxes, 4 Xboxes at one point, and we'd always all get together and play Halo 2 multiplayer. And I was pretty terrible at it, but it was just some of the best memories I've had of all of us, all of our friends playing in like Blood Gulch and stuff like that, playing Capture the Flag, and just so many like just good memories. And we would do this every single Friday night, and every Friday I would go to the nearby supermarket, and I would get a pizza, ice cream and soda, and that's what we would have. And we'd come back and we'd have a bunch of snacks, and it would have like 4 people in the living room playing one team, and then 4 other people, the Ethernet cable going through under the door into another room, and that's where the other team is. 4 other people, other friends, and we're all spending the night. And it got to the point where we had an Ethernet cable going out the window of my apartment, upstairs into the next floor, into another neighbor's apartment, in through his window, and into his living room, and all of us playing on the same match. And
that's some dedication right there. That's
And so, and like we would have like some people even that I didn't even like. I'd be meeting them for the first time, just because somebody invited them there and they would happen to be there.
Yeah.
And and like it was just like a really fun thing, and like it was like a weekly event that we all looked forward to. So the fact that Halo 2 like was like good enough a game that could like pull all of these people together and become parts of their childhood is like pretty. That's like a huge achievement, I think, for the people who developed that game.
I think so.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, that's like just something really special. I also remember the time where me and my friend Jordan were on a team, and one of the other team had the flag, and they had the win. And if they got the flag over to their base, that would have been game over. They had the final point.
Yeah.
And we were freaking out trying to stop them because they had a Warhog full of people, and they had the flag there. And Jordan had 2 of the pistols. He was holding dual wielding the pistols, and he waited until the Warhog flew over him. And I still remember, like I could see it in my head in slow motion, him aiming up and going, shooting the underbelly of the Warhog, making it explode in midair, killing all of them, and fucking getting the flag back. And we end up winning the goddamn game.
That's such like
and we were all just like screaming, and like it was just a really crazy experience.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
And so, so Halo Nights would be always a lot of fun, and we also had really good memories of when me and you would play when we decided to play through all the campaigns.
Oh yeah.
And those were also just really good times.
Yeah.
We'd be like listening to albums, discovering, like listening to new albums that we haven't heard before, playing through the games in Legendary.
Oh yeah,
and, those are just good memories.
Going through Halo 1, 2, and 3, and all
that was the Halo Nights was back when I was probably in like middle school and maybe even like 5th grade. So I had all those memories of having those Halo Nights, but it also kind of evolved into something else where we would spend a lot of time at our friend Ben's house or over here still playing like multiplayer.
Yeah,
and to this day we still play. Every once in a while we'll still jump in and play the Halo 2 multiplayer. Like we went on that camping trip recently, or not really camping, but a trip to Tahoe.
Yeah. The Tahoe.
And we still
trip.
managed to get in a game of, we were on a lockout, I believe, and we were playing some of that. So,
dude, that Xbox of yours is comes in really handy because Ben has like this crazy modded Xbox that I'm pretty sure it has like a mod chip installed into it, but
it's the Executor 2
mod
chip.
Yeah. And I'm not exactly sure what size the hard drive in it is, but I'm sure it's not the stock one that came with the system. But
I think it's 500 gigs.
500 gigs.
Yeah,
nice. But yeah, it's just stock full of like downloaded Xbox games, and there's a bunch of like emulators, and then there's like literally thousands of games for those emulators.
Yeah, that Xbox has been like a great friend, and like pay for if there's a game you like, of course support the developers. I'm not trying to advocate for
piracy.
Just pirate hella shit.
Yeah,
but I mean at this right now, but as a kid, that was just like a really incredible thing to have like all of the, to me, seemingly endless games.
Yeah,
for me to play as a kid. I want to say that like I probably spent more time playing that Xbox more than any other console or any other sort of game kind of thing, because there's so many different games, so many different eras that I had of getting into different games with that Xbox. And as a kid in like elementary school, that felt like the coolest shit ever. I was like, I would remember telling the kids like, oh, I have like this super Xbox and stuff.
It's like, it's fucking better than yours, man. No,
It's like, you dweeb.
No,
So
but
my older brother built it for me. Sorry. It's like, he works for Nintendo.
no, but I also think something that was really attractive about that feature at that time, like the feature of being able to not just like pirate a ton of games, but to be able to have like, you know, a game downloaded onto the hard drive of the system, and to just be able to play it straight from the system rather than to like always pop in a disc. I think at the time when that wasn't a regular thing like it is these days, you know, with people just, you know, with there being now physical copies and digital copies and everything. I think, yeah, at that time it was the whole like convenience factor of it, where it's like, you know, you don't have to worry about keeping like your disc safe somewhere, and like, you know, keep everything stored somewhere, but you know, it's just, you know, just really is plug in and play. But I almost feel like as time has gone on, and that is a very, very normal, like that's an encouraged, you know, thing now. That's a very encouraged feature where, you know, these companies are basically wanting us, I feel, to go to the all digital route, because if that were to happen, I do think that would save you know, companies and like publishers and whatnot money, because they wouldn't have to like actually produce, you know, like the discs and the plastic materials to create the cases and whatnot. But yeah, like I feel like back then it was appreciated to have the convenience, like say if you had a modded system, because it was not a regular thing at all. But I think yeah, like I had one game that was downloaded onto an Xbox 360 back when this was maybe like in 2008 or 9 or so. And that was it was just simply like the original Halo game, and I was just like, oh yeah, like if I bring, you know, my Xbox to someone's house or whatever, like I don't have to worry about bringing a disc, because it's just on the hard drive. And I did not get a PS4 until, and you know, enter the current generation that we're in, because in this generation things like digital copies are you know, very normal and very common now. But I didn't get a PS4 until I believe it was like mid to late 2016, and because of that, like I hadn't really delved into like, I guess the philosophy behind, you know, like would I prefer to get a game physically or digitally. And at first I thought like, oh, like it's going to be better to get a digital copy, because it's just going to be way more, you know, convenient and just like easier to use and whatnot, and I'm not going to have to worry about it. It's just always going to be on the console, and bam, it's just going to be plug in and play. And so the first few games for the PS4 when I had gotten it, I did buy digital copies. Like I bought I got like GTA 5, Fallout 4, I think Battlefield 4, and Skyrim Special Edition. All those are digital copies, and while I did enjoy that at first, I don't know, just as time went on, like I kind of sooner, you know, like I thought about it more, and like even after using just digital copies for a while, like it made me realize like, okay, one, like on one end, like if for whatever reason my PS4's hard drive were to just like crap out and fail, then I would just have to completely like reinstall those games via internet. And while I am and was in a, you know, a fine position where like I can, you know, like there's no bandwidth like limits for where I was living at the time or anything like that, I could have easily just like had re-downloaded the games. But that would, you know, it would almost just be easier in a way to just pop in a disc and just to reinstall the games. But then also there's like the factor of, you know, if I ever had like second thoughts about a game, and if I wanted to sell it, or if I even, you know, thought the game was really great but I'd finished it and wanted to lend it to a friend for, you know, for however long so that they could play it, you know, that didn't really be an option, that wasn't really something that I could just do. Like, I am not sure now if there is or isn't a way that you can share a digital copy with a friend or not. Like, maybe if if you guys like were friends via accounts, and if they were your friend for more than so and so days, or if you guys somehow confirmed that know each other in real life, or like I don't know how they would go about doing it, but I would hope that they would make it an option somehow, because I mean, if you're gonna pay $60 for an item, even if it is like a digital copy of something, I still feel like you should be able to do as much with it as you can a physical copy. But of course, there's going to be limitations to that. But
yeah, I feel like I prefer vastly the physical media.
Yeah.
When it comes to consoles, yeah, I always want to have the physical copy to like kind of build a library, and it's just much more like trustworthy knowing that you have, like, if anything goes wrong, you have that physical copy there no matter what.
Yeah, you have the disc right there.
Yeah, except for when it comes to PC though. It's sort of a different story for me, just because it's hard to. It's kind of harder to find physical copies of PC games. These days.
It's very hard.
So I mean, when it comes to PC games, I don't really have as much of a qualm with getting digital copies. But even though but now that I say that, I realize that like there is a chance that like what if like Steam security is compromised one day and they lose everything.
And that's very possible.
Yeah.
That happened with Sony and their PlayStation service, and I don't know when, but it was like in like the PS3 era, and like
that's true. So if there was an easy
that actually even happened like not that long ago.
Yeah,
sure.
If there was like
think about it.
an easy way to get like physical media for PC and have it be convenient, I'd probably do that more often. But with the way that PC gaming works, it's like it's a lot of downloading and re-downloading things and downloading new things, because
definitely with the direction it's gone.
Yeah, things
the
are
area that it's in.
at least in the modern times, there's things popping up left and right with like games like Fortnite and indie games and
like
stuff.
Updates.
They are constantly downloading things and stuff like that. So it's sort of a different landscape with PC gaming, but with consoles, it's much better to do physical media, because it almost,
I would say,
because you never know what's going to happen, and there is a sort of sense of obsoletism that they kind of do in a way, like they don't want to, but I get why it happens. Sort of like we were watching an Adam Koralik video earlier, and he was talking about how they're starting to not support PlayStation Plus or PlayStation 3 now.
Yeah.
And so like and who's to say that like your stuff will, like, say you just bought a PS3, or like say you had a PS3 and you have all these things for it, and then like it goes down,
like
digital
copies of games?
If you have digital copies on your PS3 for your account, and say the PS3 dies and you want to get another one, and it's just saying that, like, I feel like they're slowly starting to stop supporting things. So I feel like, what if comes a day where they stop supporting it entirely, and you're not able to download your PlayStation games from their servers anymore.
Yeah.
Which is a very real possibility. And I feel like, because they're always going to be making the next iteration of PlayStation, the next iteration of Xbox. That is why it's important to have the physical copy, because no matter what, if the data's on the disc, you'll be able to play it. PC is sort of a different story, because there's no clear generations. So
it's just dependent on the hardware that you have.
Yeah, it just depends on your hardware and whatever, firmware or whatever. So it's a little bit different with that, but yeah, that's why I do agree that it's better to have the physical copies.
Yeah. But see, even these days with like things like, even day one updates and like all these updates that like for console games too, like even it's I don't want to say that it like defeats it. It definitely doesn't defeat the purpose of like a physical copy, but it's like, imagine 20 or 30 years from now, like if you like say you never got a PS4 or Xbox One, and then there's all these games and like titles and whatnot that you're wanting to get into because you're like, oh, I missed out on this generation. There was a ton of great games. Like, I want to get into this. There's just like. Yeah, just basically all these great games that you want to get into. And so then you go out and you buy a used, like an Xbox One or PlayStation 4 or just whatever. and then you go out and buy a couple used games for it, and say that it's so far in the future that it's say we're already on the, I guess PlayStation 5 and whatever the next Xbox is going to be called. I really hope it's not Xbox 2. That's going to be the stupidest name.
I can see it happening though, sadly.
I feel like Microsoft with Phil Spencer as the head of the Xbox division, I feel like they're going to make a more intelligent move with naming the next generation.
Did they switch the ownership?
Well, Phil Spencer's definitely not the owner of he's nothing to do with like the head of Microsoft or anything like that. But but just he's the head of the Xbox division.
Yeah, I feel like they're smart enough to not do that.
Yeah,
especially with the backlash that they would receive from that.
Yeah. No, yeah, but back with getting a game console of a non-supported generation. So the scenario definitely can come about to where, say you get a PlayStation 4 game, and at the time that game came out, it may have had some huge day one update that fixed all these errors and bugs and whatnot. Like maybe the game was either unplayable or would just be nearly unplayable because of who knows, it could have been frame rate issues or lack of features and content or even just general bugs. And there was some huge, day one update or all these updates that followed. And if the servers for a console or that game are down, then you're going to be stuck with you'll have the physical copy, but it's going to be a broken physical copy because it's going to be the game without all those updates, and it's just going to be an issue. And that's
very true.
Yeah, that's something that has been. I mean, I don't think we've really felt the effects of that yet, but I think it's very much going to happen and occur to, people who are more interested into older hardware when, the current generation becomes old hardware. And, I mean, I think that's already going to be able to be experienced with, the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. I'm sure with certain games, but... yeah, that's just something that I think's unfortunate that that developers have gone down the direction of well, you know what? Let's just throw this game out there now. It's not it's completely ready, not completely done, but we can just fix all these issues later.
It's a margin of laziness that they're allowing themselves to work with just because they know that they can do that.
Yeah,
and it allows them to feel more comfortable with pushing out unfinished products, which is I don't think not best for the consumer.
Yeah, and that's been a side effect of the internet being so widely available and so widely used. Back in the day, back in say the days of the Xbox, PlayStation 2, GameCube, Sega Dreamcast. And earlier, if you put out a game that had bugs in it, then it just had bugs in it. There weren't updates. You would have to put out a finished game, a finished product, and that's just what a game would be known for. Is if it worked or if it had all these bugs, then that's just the way it was. And there was really no fixing it back then. And yeah, well yeah.
I think that I was thinking at first to think that it was the space on the disc, the capacity of it that forced them to do day one updates. But now I'm starting to think that it is just pretty much just laziness. So I was originally going to suggest that if we had a new format of media, of copyable media, that we could maybe fix that problem of having too small of space.
I think that'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good idea regardless, but I do feel like they sort of use the day one updates and patches as an excuse to put out unfinished products.
Yeah.
And fix it in the late game and just worry about getting it out sooner.
Yeah.
Which is bad.
Yeah, because I know that, they can't do that with, discs or Blu-rays or anything to to basically burn more data onto like an already burned disk. Like once it's burned, it's burned. But I'm actually curious about what like the Nintendo Switch's like the little carts can do, because I'm pretty sure that in their current state they're not able to like download like all the these updates and patches and whatnot like directly onto the cart. Like I'm sure it just goes onto the consoles, like it's an internal storage or into an SD card if you put one in. But I think that'd be a really good idea, or like a really cool feature, definitely consumer friendly feature if they like started to make carts that could actually store all of that data, because I know that Nintendo was saying at some point that they were going to announce that they're going to have like 64 gigabyte versions of these carts, but then I think it got pushed back to like 2019, or like maybe it was like pushed back to later this year. But that's definitely something that I hope that they at least think about and can consider, because that'd be
64 gigs cool is like more than enough for like even like major like PS4 games, because a lot of like PS4 games and stuff like that will be like around like 50 gigs. That's pretty standard.
Yeah, like 50 gigs.
50 gigs. But the fucked up thing is sometimes with like patches and everything, you can end up being around like almost 100 gigs. Yeah, which is insane.
And then even with
that's just bad optimization at that point. But go on.
No, I think even with now with like the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, like because they're supposed to be these 4K consoles and support such a high quality and resolution and graphical power and everything, that like the file sizes for these games like become immensely larger. Like
very true.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that if you have an Xbox One X, and then if you're to get the game Quantum Break, that the install size, I guess / download size for that game is supposed to be somewhere near like 120 or 30 gigs or something like that, because it needs all that data for to be able to actually use take advantage of like being in 4K, because it's just like it just takes up so much storage space, and that's a lot of space, especially if now the standard hard drive size is 1 terabyte, which is a lot better than what was the standard of 500 gigs. I think 500 gigs now is definitely too small, but yeah, like the games are just gonna like if they're supported with high resolutions like 4K, their file sizes are gonna be immensely large, and I think like Microsoft and Sony, like in whatever their next consoles will be, I would hope that they would possibly even put like 2 terabyte hard drives in their consoles.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I feel like that's just
to accommodate
that's
for all
around the
this
corner.
space. Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, but yeah, and so we also have plans for this year's E3. This is hopefully going to be the first time that both Ben and I are going to go, and it's something that we've always wanted to go to, and I'm pretty sure that it was made public for the first time just last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think this is the second year that they're finally making it open to the public. Before that, of course, was only industry. But I've wanted to go for many, many years. Even though back as a kid, looking back, it was probably impossible to be able to go. Yeah. Because I was just some random ass kid. But yeah, we were planning to go to E3. Hopefully. We're thinking the format of this podcast will change during that time, if and when we end up going to E3, because instead of the regular bi-weekly
setup that we've got going,
we're going to be doing maybe like a 30-minute recap at the end of each day. Yeah, I'd say if maybe longer. Doesn't have to be. Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to talk about. Yeah. So during that time, we'll be doing a daily podcast at the end of each day of E3. But yeah, right now we're just saving up, and hopefully we can make it there, and it'd be a really good experience just to
that
be there and
that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and there's going to be not just going to be like the showcases of the games, but there's I'm sure there's going to be like developers and like actual areas to where we'll be able to like try out like these games that are coming out and everything like that. So like that's I think is going to be a rootin' tootin' good time. So I actually also right now I have had my laptop here with me just in case if we were wanting to like look anything up, or like if we were to like if we like for really good reason needed to like fact check a year or like some kind of fact or something. But while we've been talking, I was doing a little bit of browsing, and it seems like there is actually a leak for the Spyro remaster. That's it's sounding like it's going to be coming out
this year.
Yeah, coming out this year.
Couple months, honestly.
Yeah, like I think somewhere it was saying September 7th, I think was what
I think it was September 7th or September 21st. But remember, this is a leak, and by the nature of leaks, you have to take everything within them with a grain of salt, just in case. But this leak does look very official.
Yeah, it looks fairly authentic.
It would be a goddamn good recreation if it was just some kind of hoax, which I really do not think it is. So if they leaked these like real ass screenshots, I'm guessing that a September 21st release date
21st
at the price of $40 could be reliable. Like I said, you never know exactly because things might change.
Yeah.
But this is what the leak's saying, that they do have like legit ass screenshots, so it's pretty believable. Honestly.
It's pretty likely, I think, and
yeah.
I think like after the Crash a trilogy got remastered and was released, like I was like a huge fan of that. Like I really loved that, but like as a kid, like I did play both Crash Bandicoot games and Spyro games. But I did play Spyro significantly more than I did Crash Bandicoot. And I know that Crash Bandicoot was probably the bigger franchise of the two and, had a larger install base and more people playing it. But I feel like Spyro just had more depth to me. So, like, I was, like, kind of attracted to more.
Yeah. I have more memories of playing Spyro.
Yeah, and, just cooler themes. Like, it's fun to be Purple Dragon.
Yeah. It's more of, like, an adventure game.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy. Crash Bandicoot's fun, like it's arcadey. And it has its place, but yeah, Spyro did feel more in depth and it almost had a really like sort of unique atmosphere.
It did. It
was part of
fun.
Part of the soundtrack and the environment made it feel very unique.
Yeah. But so like there's I mean I feel like this potential potential authentic leak here is going to be not just a hoax, but something that is legit. But from looking at the screenshots here, this is like about like what I would have imagined a remaster of Spyro would look like, and it doesn't look like any like shitty version like the how Spyro looked in like some of the fucking Skylanders games.
Dude, fucking like gross ass goblin creature that they turned him into.
Man,
just the bastardization.
Yeah, it just was not good representation or version of Spyro. But this,
and there was honestly like a good chance that they would have done that too, and I'm so glad they didn't. Because they could have just gone like the easy route and like, we like marketed it to all these kids. Now all the kids who bought the Skylanders toys they think this is, they see this as Spyro.
And are going to be familiar
so
with
we're just going to bust out this character, but...
Yeah.
I'm glad that they like actually stuck with their guns and went with the OG Spyro.
Because
they would piss off not piss off, but it would be kind of disappointing to a lot of people to have that different design. It wouldn't really make sense because this trilogy seems to be, relying on the people who grew up playing these games.
I think it would potentially piss off a lot of people.
Yeah. What am I saying? Disappoint them. Not irritate, disappoint them. This is the internet, so people would be legitimately pissed.
People would get pissed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also since it does look like if this is real and authentic, this does look very true to the original games, and I feel like if they were also doing that to make the if they're doing that to make the conscious decision of making it true to the original games for the original install base, I think that makes a bit more sense, because I feel like it's the people who originally played these games who are more likely to go out and buy this. Could it be for nostalgia's sake, or could it be for genuine love of the franchise? It could be both. But from seeing what these pictures look like online, if they are indeed real, then I think this is going to be a great remaster. Crash Bandicoot remaster.
It's the same people who did the Crash Bandicoot remaster, which was pretty spot on. So I feel like if they are doing this as well, I have pretty high hopes for it, and I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, and well, I think we've hit a good amount of topics today. We covered a bit of what that one user was wanting to hear, and definitely if anyone else or if even that same user is listening, if anyone else wants us to touch a bit more on certain topics, or if there's perhaps like other things that you guys would want us to talk about or to look into, and just have a conversation with you guys, you can definitely let us know. And we have a SoundCloud account so that this will be posted on, and a YouTube account that we are hopefully going to get up and rolling pretty soon here. We originally intended that to come out at the same time as the SoundCloud account, but we'll get that up and going soon. So I think that's probably a good point to call it.
Thank you, and good night.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the Arachnoids
Gamecast episode 2. All right. See you guys later.